remembered, I decided that it would be time that I read you a few more stories that you can keep forever. And so, Mommy gave me 2 little kids books, and I know you're not a little kid anymore. You're a grown-up now, and I can't do this. So even though you're not a little kid anymore, I'm going to read you 2 little stories. First one is George and His Giant Shadow. I'm used to you being over here. Usually you were sitting right here, and so I could show you the book over here, but now I have to do it out here, and it's hard. So now I have to do it different. George and His Giant Shadow. I've never read this one before. This is a new one for me. George was different from all the other mice. He had a giant shadow. No matter where George went, his giant shadow would cause trouble. When the mice played hide and seek, George was much too easy to find. When George went with the older mice to the beach, his giant shadow made them shiver. George tried everything to get rid of it. He tried hiding in a teacup, but that didn't work. He tried wearing a disguise, but that didn't work. He tried losing weight, but that didn't work either. Doesn't work for me either. No matter what George did, his giant shadow just wouldn't go away. One day the mice planned an expedition to the pantry. They mapped out every detail. They would travel to the kitchen and load up their knapsacks with their favorite foods. Sunflower seeds, peanuts, oatmeal and raisins, and pizza and donuts. All the mice were going except George. "Sorry, George," the others said. "You can't come. You and your giant shadow will just be in the way." George felt very sad. He went to his room to think about his troubles. He wondered if he and his giant shadow would ever have any friends. Slowly the day turned to twilight, and the twilight to night. It got darker and darker and darker, until it was so dark George couldn't even see his giant shadow. He put on his knapsack and hurried off to tell the others. Meanwhile, on the other side of the house, the mice were making their way towards the pantry. They climbed over the couch. They chopped their way through a jungle of potted plants. They tumbled beneath the rug until at last they came to the kitchen. It was there that George found his friends. They were too busy to notice George, and they were too busy to notice the danger lurking in the dark. George realized that something terrible was about to happen. He quivered with fear, but George knew he had to save the other mice. The danger crept closer and closer and closer. Suddenly, George remembered what he had come to tell the other mice, and that gave him an idea. Quickly, he swung into action. He climbed up the chair, grabbed the light chain, and pulled with all his strength. As George dropped to the floor, his giant shadow flew across the room, dark and scary. The cat screeched and bounded away. The mice cheered for George and his giant shadow. "You saved us, George," they cried. "You're a hero." Then the mice had a party to honor George. Everyone had lots of fun. And from that day on, George, his giant shadow, and all the mice were all the very best of friends. The end. I'm sure you remember this book, Tommy. This is the same book that I used to read to you every night, and you had the entire thing memorized. Before I would even get to a line, you knew what it was. That's when I knew you were smart. I knew then you were going to be the smartest kid in the world, but I just didn't tell you that. Bears in the night. In bed. Out of bed. Out of bed, to the window, at the window. Out the window. I hope you don't climb out your windows. Out the window, down the tree. Out the window, down the tree, over the wall. Over the wall, under the bridge, around the lake. Under the bridge, around the lake, between the rocks. Through the woods. Out the window, down the tree, over the wall, under the bridge, around the lake, between the rocks, through the woods. You know the next part. Up Spook Hill. Woo! Uh-oh. We're missing a page. In the window, down Spook Hill, through the woods, between the rocks, around the trees, under the bridge, over the wall, up the tree, in the window, back in bed. Woo! Well, Tommy, I just wanted to read these to you and let you know that I still love you, and every time you think of it, every time you watch this, You know that I'm thinking